Talktainment Radio Worldwide Sound. Talktainmentradio.com. We give you a reason to come. The world's greatest radio. We give you a reason to stay. Radio, the way it should be heard. You got the power.
The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guest and not necessarily those of TalkTainmentRadio.com, the management, the staff, or K&E World Network, LLC.
Well, good morning and welcome to this edition of the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby, and you are listening to it on TalkTainmentRadio.com, radio the way it should be heard. Mr. Fuller is on the line, and he is live from Washington, D.C., and I will introduce him in just one moment. But if you would like to join the conversation, and we would like for you to, you can do that by calling 1-877-932-9766. Or you can Gmail me at the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, B-O-B-B-Y, at gmail.com. To hear the program in its entirety, you can also go to facebook.com/Talktainment, and you can hear the entire program. And one more way is going to YouTube TV. All you have to do is go to YouTube TV, type in the word Talktainment, then hit the space bar and type in the word radio. Scroll down to Talktainment #2 live on YouTube, and that's all you have to do. That way you can see and also hear the program. There is a subscribe button there. You can hit that, and a like button. You can do that, and we would really appreciate that. Okay, with all that out of the way, let's do this. We have some reoccurring sponsors. Brian Gaston, Eric Williams, BW Gifts. He's down there from Houston, Texas. Helen Nance and Don Mitchner. Yes, those are reoccurring sponsors. They give monthly. And if you would like to do that and get your name on the list, then all you have to do is go to the TalkTainmentRadio.com homepage, and there is a donate button. Now, we haven't officially started our campaign for the second hour of the compensatory concept, but be a little proactive and hit that button and go from there. And we won't tell you how much that you can donate. You can donate any amount. It is all appreciated. A couple of weeks, maybe Ed will come up with a total that we need for this year. But you can do that. Just hit that button and, man, let us do. Okay, with all that out of the way, let's introduce Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Mr. Fuller, good morning, and how are you this morning?
Good morning. I'm still learning.
Okay, still learning. I've entitled today's program, Mr. Fuller, something that you've mentioned on this program numerous times, but we're going to speak about it today, and it's in the form of a question. What do you want to do? Well, I was in discussions with a few people this week, and that theme just kept on coming up. What do you want to do? And then other questions. Why do you want to do it? When do you plan to do that? And how do you plan to do that? And what is the expected constructive results of what you want? So I thought we would discuss that and have you elaborate, on that this morning. So what are your thoughts on that topic in the system of racism, which is white supremacy, the importance of knowing what do you want to do, asking those questions?
Because I think that's really becoming more and more prominent in everybody's minds. I know that in my younger days, I always asked that question, and I was kind of leery of people asking me that question, because that's a question that goes to the heart of everything that people are about. What do you want to do? Why do you want to do it? How do you plan to do it? And what do you expect the constructive result to be? Now, I put that package together just a few years ago in the 2016 edition of the textbook for victims of white supremacy. That's one of the last things I put in there, but I say it's one of the most important things, if not the epicenter of the doing part of what to do about anything, of what we're doing on the planet. When I say we, I mean everybody who's on the planet. That is a question that fits any time of day or night to anybody, not only people, but all creatures. But most creatures, on account of their environment, over periods of years, decades, eons, they have kind of figured out what to do in their environment and why they want to do it within the limitations that they have of their intelligence. A rhinoceros, a bird, a lion, an ant, all types of creatures. They usually kind of know instinctively, or whatever you want to call it, what they want to do. That bird that's flying up, if you look out the window now and you see a bird that's flying, you may not know what it is that bird wants to do, but if you're a bird watcher, you might can figure out what the bird wants to do, because the bird will try to do what it wants to do. All creatures are like that.
Mm-hmm.
They do what they want to do. I mean, as best they can. So most creatures, a flock of ducks and whatnot, they want to fly this way, they want to fly that way. And then it comes down, they usually have a plan of what, according to the seasons, of how they plan to get where they want to go. They seem to be always on the move, always doing something. Okay, pigeons, ducks, sparrows, and so they have a plan. And then they are looking for a constructive result, at least constructive within their world. Now, they may be causing a problem for someone else, but they're, either not aware of that or their mental structure calls for them not to care. Now, people are no exception to that. Every time we get up in the morning, from the time we wake up, we breathe all through the night automatically. But once our brains kick in and start being activated after we are no longer asleep, we want to do something. We want to either stay in bed or get out of bed. I mean, as a start. And then it all works from there. But those are the four universal questions that apply, as best I can figure out,
now,
to all creatures at all times. And people should take very seriously those four questions.
Yes, sir.
Because we have a lot of what now in this world?
Confusion.
Among the people who are among the creatures who are supposed to be the most intelligent creatures on the planet, and that is people.
Yes, sir.
So people should be very serious about what they want to do, why they want to do it. That's very important, all these questions, those four questions. How they plan to do it, and then last but not least, what do you expect the constructive result to be if you do what you want to do?
Okay.
And underline that word constructive.
Constructive, okay.
Because we're usually not taught to divide everything into constructive and non-constructive. We're really taught in the schools and the universities to do a whole lot of things, truth be told, that are not constructive.
Yes, sir.
Make no sense at all. But you're paying money in colleges to learn how to do something that absolutely makes no sense at all. So everything should be examined for its constructive effects.
Yes.
You've got to figure out now what is it you all plan to do, and is it going to have a constructive result? Don't leave that out. You can do a lot of things. People are capable of doing a lot of things. They prove that all the time. But you can open any newspaper any time of day, and page after page, you see a lot of non-constructive results. That is what? The result of things that people wanted to do.
Yes, yes. But in asking that question, and we're going to get into the definition of want, but just backed on what you just said, once you do that, then the question would come up, why do you want to do that? Whatever it is, if you've identified what do you want to do, then the question becomes, well, why do you want to do that? Do you think, in your estimation, that question is ignored, or what is the situation with that? Why do you want to do what it is that you want to do?
Well, all of those four questions, I mean, as orchestrated, as laid out there, kind of put the average person on the defensive.
Why?
Well, because the world is so full of confusion and whatnot.
Okay.
And people are more confused than even, like I said, the other creatures. Birds, ants. Ants usually pretty well know. I mean, an ant is not here. I don't know too much about the structure of an ant or how long an ant is here before an ant realizes what an ant's code is supposed to be. By code, I mean what an ant's behavior is supposed to be. I guess they just pick it up by instinct, or it is taught by other ants, but they pick it up pretty quick, and they pretty well got everything mapped out for them. They have a code. Anybody who's ever looked at ants, and being out in the country when I was a much smaller boy, I mean, I used to kind of look at ant hills and whatnot, and at a very early age, I don't know how old an ant is when it's born, that it begins to learn exactly what the ant code is. But boy, do they have one. And they follow it rigidly. They don't let anything get in the way of their code. They just, like a laser, they just lock on to what an ant is supposed to be doing. And they do it. You can come along and ants will be all over the middle of the road building an anthill. And a truck will come along and destroy the anthill. And then, oddly enough, when you come back in a few days, if another truck doesn't come along, those ants are busy doing what? Putting up another anthill. Might be just a little further down the road or off to the side of the road, because they begin to figure out that something keeps happening to them when they're in the middle of the road. But they stick to the ant code. I think there's a biblical out of what they call the Holy Bible saying, "Go to the ant, thou sluggard. Consider her ways and be wise." So they're talking about the wisdom of ants. And what would be the wisdom of ants? That they have a code. That they're not going to deviate from the code. They don't care if it's raining or if the fog comes or whatever is happening. Ducks and whatnot going past, and trucks and whatnot going past. The ants do what ants do, whether they're alone or in a group. So that passage in the Bible, which I've heard is there for that purpose, I guess, to point that out. Okay. Go to the ant, thou sluggard. Sluggard meaning, I guess, a person who is kind of lackadaisical, a person who just doesn't care too much about, come day, go day, God send Sunday if you want to. I mean, just whatever happens, that's all right. It's okay with me. But the ants are not like that. Whatever happens, it's all right with me. Ants have a code. So that might be why that passage is there. But they have, when I say code, they have a plan. They want to do something. They carry out that plan. They figure out how to do it. And they've been doing it as long as there's been ants. The same code. They follow the same code. I don't care if you come along 50 years later. Ants do what ants do. And they do it. Why? Because it works for them. See, now that's that W-O-R-K. It works.
Yes.
And that's what all people should have. Find out the best thing that has the most constructive result for the way that we are made, arms, legs, eyes, a brain, etc. And say, now, when people do this and do that and don't do this and don't do this and don't do that, because it's all a matter of do's and don'ts. Everything is about do's and don'ts. So if you do certain things, always do these things consistently, and it's a list of things that you don't do based on what? Based on constructive results, non-constructive results, we turn out to be mathematically a constructive people.
Yes.
And that's the way all people should be all over this planet, right this minute in 2018. A constructive people populating this planet that we have been given by whatever created the planet and whatever created us on the planet.
Yes.
We owe that to ourselves and whatever created us.
Mm-hmm.
That's the logic.
Yes, sir, the logic behind it.
Right.
Yes, the scripture that you were referencing is, I think it's found in Proverbs chapter 6. And it says here, go to the ant, thou sluggard, consider her ways, and be wise, which having no guide, overseer, or ruler, provideth her meat in the summer, and gathereth her food in the harvest. How long wilt thou sleep, O sluggard, when thou arise, and when wilt thou arise out of thy sleep? Yet a little sleep and a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep. So shall thy poverty come as one that travaileth, and thy want as an armed man. So you were correct on that. Go to the ant, thou sluggard, and consider her ways. TalkTainmentRadio.com is a 24/7 no-charge worldwide broadcasting facility with hosts delivering on various topics such as news, lifestyle, sports, law, health, wellness, religion, and, of course, politics. Now, here's a couple that I'd like to share with you. We did it last week, but we're going to do it again. It's your time to travel. Now, you should listen to that if you have traveling plans. Brother Tyus is on that program, and he'll give you all the information that you would like to have on that. And, of course, another one is This is Libby Rand, giving you holistic advice on how to live, how to eat, how to think. Good programs. Exclusive to TalkTainmentRadio.com. All you have to do is go to the home page and then click on programs, and then you can see a variety of programs that we have on the list, and select the ones that you would like to have. That's from Talktainment Radio, the way it should be heard. I am Mr. Bobby. I am the co-host on the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. You can get in contact with the show by calling 1-877-932-9766. You can Gmail me, as Brother McKinley just did, and we'll get to that email shortly. The numero 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY, @gmail.com. You can hear the entire program in its entirety by going to Facebook.com/Talktainment. You can hear the whole program there. And lastly, and I do have to read this one, you can go to the YouTube channel. All you have to do is click, go to YouTube channel, then then type in Talktainment, then hit the space bar, type in the word radio, then scroll down to Talktainment 2 live on YouTube. That way you can see and you can hear the program, especially right now, which my picture is up on the screen right now, and also during various times they show pictures of whatever we are discussing sometime. But right now, I'm on there. I don't know why you'd want to look at that, but I'm on there. But that's what we do, trying to be up to date as much as we can. Anyway, while you're there on YouTube, hit that like button and subscribe button, and then you're all in. Okay. All right, Mr. Fuller, we're talking about what do you want to do. Now, you always have mentioned about the importance of words, what they mean, and in looking at the word want, discovering that a want, Mr. Fuller, according to the dictionary, Wikipedia and dictionary, it says this: a desire to possess or to do something. Okay, but it can also mean this. Want can mean a lack or short of something desirable. What do you think about that, being that it could be interpreted both two ways?
Yeah, well, I never even looked up the word when I put it in the textbook for victims of racism. I just use it in the traditional way, want, and that definition does fit. A desire for something.
Yes.
You know, it's something you desire. You want to catch the bus. You want to get up out of the chair and stretch and yawn. That's a want.
Yes.
Okay. You want to go to the cafeteria and and have breakfast. You want to call up someone and talk about something. Most likely, when you're going to call somebody and talk about something, you're going to talk about something that you want. Your talk is going to be about something that you want. You've already satisfied one want by you wanted to call somebody. Then when you get to somebody on the line, you want that somebody to tell you something about something else that you want. Or you want to tell them about something you want them to do. Or find out something that they want to do that might help you to do what you want to do. But it's always around that word want. Everybody wants something every minute of every day. There's no exceptions to that. Unless you're asleep. All right? And when you're asleep, you don't have any wants. That's being taken care of.
Yes.
You just want to, you want to keep breathing while you're asleep, but that's taken care of by whatever created you.
Okay.
All right? Otherwise, you're not going to wake up either. Okay? If you
Yes,
stop
sir.
breathing.
Right.
So that's automatic. But once you wake up and you're aware of what's going on around you, you want something immediately.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true.
And so, therefore, what I'm getting at is that people should pay strict attention of those 4 questions. What do you want to do? And ask yourself these questions, all right, as well as other people that you're around, because you get clarity and focus that way real quick. I mean, in every classroom, in every job.
Yes, sir.
I mean, whatever, just a casual conversation. If you want to get to the core of anything real quick. Now, it'll make people nervous because most people, well, I won't say most because I don't know how to quantify it, but huge numbers of people get a little bit nervous when you start getting into that thing about wants.
Okay.
I get nervous about it myself, all right, when I ask myself these questions. Fuller, what do you want to do? Why do you want to do it? How do you plan to do it? All right? Now, most people don't like to plan. They like somebody else to do the planning about what they want. I want something, but I want somebody else to plan on how I'm going to get it. Okay? Why? Because I started getting lazy along about that third question. How do you plan to get it? Okay? And then last but not least, this is the clincher question that a lot of people avoid, particularly people who are not looking to do something that makes sense, something constructive. See, if we tell ourselves the truth, a lot of the things we want to do, we're just chomping at the bit to do it, but it makes no constructive sense at all. What do you expect the constructive result to be of what it is that you want to do? All right?
Yes, sir.
Now, most people in the system of, belatedly, the system of government that we have on this planet, don't want to do anything that's going to have a constructive result, either directly or indirectly. Why? Because we have been trained that way and taught that way. By whom? The usual suspects, the white supremacists of this planet.
Yes, sir.
And particularly when it comes to non-white people.
Okay.
I mean, you have school shootings. I just read recently where you just had one in the last 48 hours or something like that, and all like that. And then you have page after page when you read the newspapers. This is all a result of things that people want to do. Really.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I would
People
agree with
want
that.
to do these things.
Oh, yes.
They plan to do it. All right. But constructive results, you don't see them in most newspapers.
No, sir.
Pick up the average newspaper, page after page. You see reports where people did something. I mean, they legislated. Some legislators passed some laws. And you look at it and you say, I'm looking at this, but is this a constructive result? I mean, this is what they're planning on doing, or this is what they plan to do and have already done it. And look at the result. Was it constructive? And in many cases, it proves to be non-constructive.
Yes.
We have been taught to be a non-constructive people, and in a very sophisticated manner in many cases. I mean, some of the most intelligent people, quote unquote, on the planet
Yes,
are
sir.
sitting around thinking of things for people to do and to want to do and to want to do repeatedly that is absolutely non-constructive.
Non-constructive. All right, let's go to the phone line. What line am I on? Line number 1. Okay, number 1. You're on with Mr. Fuller, and mind you, I'm gonna have to take a break at the end, but don't hang up. Go ahead, line number 1. You're on.
Good morning, Mr. Bobby and Mr. Fuller. I have 2 questions. Mr. Fuller, do you think that other subgroups of non-white people are codified in some of the areas of activity?
No, I don't think anybody's codified nowhere near, including myself, nowhere near where we should be. There isn't a person on this planet, according to logic, under this system, who is anywhere near being the quality of persons, or of a person, that a person should be. That's the logical assumption based on all of the evidence. Because then you ask the question, a logical question, how should a person be? A person should be a quality person. Meaning what, Fuller? Meaning what, according to logic? Whatever it is that is absolutely over the top constructive at all times and enjoying it. That's another thing. We have been poisoned against the idea, particularly black people, against any idea of what we call enjoyment that is also constructive. We are systematically taught by whom? By the white supremacists, the usual suspects, to be non-constructive and enjoy doing anything that has been proven to be non-constructive, has proven to be something that's going to cause misery, something that's going to cause agony, something that's going to cause people to go at each other. I mean, we enjoy that. We've been taught that. And that's why you have all this chaos and confusion and fear and anger and distrust and all of it. And we just sit back and say, well, situation normal. All right? So in answer to your question, no. We're nowhere, white people or non-white people, as far back as in recorded history, really, all of recorded history. Don't glorify no part of the history up to this point of the people of this planet. The history of the people of this planet up to this point is dismal. The recorded history, if it's anywhere close to being accurate, and then a lot of that is in question, but it's one thing you can pretty well say safely and be sure of. People are nowhere, and there's no history of any people being nowhere near the quality of people that people should be.
Okay.
According to what? According to what people should be.
All right.
Emphasis into infinity.
Okay. Let's hold it right there. Caller, don't hang up. We'll answer it on the other side of the break. TalkTainmentradio.com. We go where you go. Check us out on 94.1 WGRN, and the podcasts are available. Download the TalkTainmentRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. Stay right there. We're going to have more of this caller's question. And Brother McKinley, we're going to try to get you in that and more coming up next.
Attention Central Ohio. Are you looking for a full-service cleaning company? Call C&E Cleaning Services. No jobs too large or small. And we also clean homes. We are bonded and insured for your protection. Call us today at 614-450-0463. Number again is 614-450-0463. Our expert staff is courteous and professional. You'll be glad you called C&E. Call us today at 614-450-0463.
References provided upon request. We are looking to hire a few good people. Call today.
Goddess, girl, you got this. Dynasty Goddess virgin hair. Watch them stop and stare. Soft, luxurious hair. Dynasty Goddess virgin hair. Stop paying for overpriced virgin hair. Introducing Dynasty Goddess hair. Soft, luxurious, high-quality hair at affordable prices. Visit dynastygoddess.com or call 800-285-6210. Dynasty Goddess Hair.
Pastor Clifford Riley and the congregation at Mount Gerizim Missionary Baptist Church cordially invite you to worship with us. Yes, come to the Mountain of Blessings for a spirited, love-filled experience. Our Sunday services and twice on Wednesday Bible study will change your life. We are located at 2633 Mock Road, and our phone number is 614-475-9712. Again, 2633 Mock Road, or call 614-475-9712.
Are you ready to earn a certification in healthcare, business, or manufacturing while achieving your high school diploma? Then you're ready for Life Skills High School, a free public school option for Ohio students 16 to 21 years old. Learn more about your free high school educational options at lifeskillshs.org.
If you're not facing your mortgage issues, this can be the most terrifying sound in the world. It means you've fallen behind. It means hope is dwindling. It means you're another call closer to losing your home to foreclosure. Fortunately, there's hope. If you need real help and guidance, call 1-888-995-HOPE. That's 1-888-995-4673. Because nothing is worse than doing nothing. A public service announcement brought to you by NeighborWorks, the ad council in this station.
Queen's Legacy of Love 12 brand launch and grand opening. Currently looking for hosts, photographers, models, dancers, entertainers, ushers, comedians, production managers, model coordinators, stage crew, vendors, volunteers, sponsors, public relations and media personnel, and extras. Contact ggoldqqueen22@yahoo.com. Queens of Queens.
For the best home fragrance and beauty products, shop Ash Kickin online.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Made with 100% natural quality ingredients and handcrafted with your family in mind, Ash Kickin products are better than those other guys. Ash Kickin candles, incense, body butter, face moisturizer, and hair moisturizer are priced just right, and you can get yours at 10% off with coupon code TALK17. Support this 100% black-owned business and get your home and body smelling and feeling all right.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Shop Ash Kickin online at www.ashkickin.com.
This is Al Edmondson, owner of a Cutter Brother Rest Barbershop. I'm calling on all barbers and beauticians. It's time for us to unite as one. We can serve our communities better together. Join the Ohio Black Barber Beauty Network. For more information, visit www.obbn.org or call 614-427-3226 to get more information. Be the change that you want to see in your community. Join our network.
Think fast. In less than 30 seconds, a small flame can become a big fire. Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and keep heaters 3 feet away from anything that can burn. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov because fire is everyone's fight.
Do you have problems controlling high blood pressure? Good news. You can enroll in Helping Hands Health and Wellness Center's health coaching program utilizing the innovative Twine Health platform. We will help you set your goals, keep in touch with you via your cell phone, and may provide you a free blood pressure cuff. Call us at 614-462-0114 or visit us on the web at www.helpinghandsfreeclinic.org to see if you qualify. This program is provided to you by a grant from the CVS Health Foundation.
I've got the water, energy bars, and camera. I think we're set for the hike.
Almost. We need to protect our skin. Don't forget your wide-brimmed hat and sunscreen.
All right. I've got the hat. I've got SPF 30. Will that work?
Yeah, anything 15 or higher is good. Just make sure it says broad spectrum.
Great. Got it. I am not getting burned again. Let's go.
Learn more at cdc.gov/cancer.
Families affected by disasters urgently need support. Help the American Red Cross provide meals and shelter to those affected by disasters, big and small. Donate to Red Cross Disaster Relief. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS.
If you or someone you know is abusing drugs and or alcohol and want to stop the abuse, contact APDS at 1409 East Livingston Avenue. Office hours are 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily and 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday. APDS is certified by the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services and primarily funded through the Adam H. Board. Fees are based on your income and Medicaid is always accepted. For more information, call 614-253-4448.
See that cute little dog in the pet store? Chances are it came from a puppy mill. A breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppies to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. But with one simple choice, you can help, just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkTimidRadio.com.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Go ahead. Make my day.
You got the power.
Alrighty, TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go. Download the TalkTainmentRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. Hi, I am Mr. Bobby. I'm the co-host on the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. And our topic today is a question, or a series of questions, but what do you want to do, in particular in the system of racism, which is white supremacy? We still have a phone caller on the line, but listen, this is called a radio tease. Make sure that you stay tuned to TalkTainmentRadio.com because we are going to do something beginning Monday, January the 5th. Now, I'm not at liberty to tell you about it, but I can tease you about it. So, yeah, something that's going to happen. Anyway, that's from radio the way it should be heard. Okay, caller, you are on the line. Go ahead with your second question.
Yes, sir. Mr. Fuller, do you think there are subgroups of white supremacists? And I want to explain that question. Because just like you would construct a building, you would have to have labormen, foremen, engineers, heavy machine operators, inspectors, and so on. Do you think that if you construct white supremacy, would you have to have subgroups of white supremacy?
I don't think so. See, if you're a white supremacist, you're qualified to be a white supremacist. It doesn't make any difference how you approach your being supreme over people, and which means when you say white supremacy, you mean mistreating people based on color, dominating and mistreating people based on color. Those two factors. First factor, domination. In other words, by dominant, you mean they better do what you tell them to do, or else they're going to be harmed, okay? And what you're going to do, the second part, and it's intertwined with the domination, mistreatment. See, a foreman on a job, you might say that's the dominant person on that job. But if nobody's being mistreated, you can say that the foreman is the dominant person on the job site. That's why they call him the foreman. I mean, the guy who's out front telling everybody else what to do. But the result is constructive for everybody, and nobody's being mistreated. Now, that's fine. But the problem with the system of white supremacy is domination and mistreatment. And they thrive on that. I mean, they must do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what white supremacy is about. Domination and mistreatment based on color, which is an artificial standard, a fake standard, a brutal standard for doing any kind of business. You're going to dominate people and then mistreat them? Of course, you shouldn't mistreat people based on any standard.
Correct.
But that they have found out through somebody adopted it, that if you can dominate people and then you start mistreating them, and you do it on the basis of color, that is a very efficient system for getting things done, and not only for getting things done materially, but for satisfying all of your ego needs. You got somebody you can look down on, somebody you can kick around and get away with it, and you can enjoy it. And you make that a standard for enjoyment for the entire world. You say, hey, this is what everybody should enjoy. Even the people who are being kicked, they should enjoy being kicked. All right? That's the way the white supremacists look at it. What's wrong with you, boy? I'm kicking you, and you ain't laughing. I mean, laugh when I kick you. This is fun. I mean, it's fun for everybody. Don't you enjoy this? Me kicking you? I enjoy kicking you. You enjoy being kicked. Me putting drugs in your arm and all like that, and it's destroying you. Don't you enjoy that? Ain't that a good feeling? Being kicked, being drugged up, half starving to death, and I enjoy making you that way. Boy, that's what the world is really all about. This is the greatest thing that was ever invented, this type of arrangement that we have, this type of contract that we have. I mean, don't you understand that, boy? Hey, I understand it. How come you don't understand it? That's the way a white supremacist thinks, all right? And that's why it became the dominant force on the entire planet. The only government that really counts on the entire planet is the government called the system of white supremacy, which is racism in capital letters. But that is the way it functions.
Yes. Boy.
And everybody is supposed to be on board with it. And people look at you strangely when you say, something is drastically out of order. This is not the way to run this wonderful planet. Based on mistreating people, based on color.
Yes.
I mean, the planet is full of color, all kind of colors, greens, purples, oranges. And you look at the skin color of people and say that this is a category of people to be mistreated. Now, in direct answer to your question, no, all white supremacists are equal. See, they don't have any structure. They have a code.
Wow.
Hello?
Yeah. I just said, wow. Before we move on here, that arrangement that you just mentioned sounds like something that's toxic, tragic, and terroristic. That's what that sounds. Kicking somebody, that's just not good at all. All right. Anyway, I just got this correction to make. I accidentally said on the T's January the 5th. No, it's February the 5th. I just got corrected on that. February the 5th. Talktainment Radio is getting ready to do something here, so you want to stay tuned for that. Mr. Fuller, this comes from the Gmail line. This is from Mac. He says this, Mr. Fuller, my comment this morning is that I disagree with you when you said last week that we should feel free to take pre-existing words and redefine them. The reason I say this is because we have a lot of ignorant folk in our community that are hear you say that and think that now it's okay to redefine the N-word, which they already have. They've tried to redefine the N-word from being the most vile and racist word in the English language for centuries to being something positive, a term of endearment and a friendly gesture. And that, in my honest opinion, is the wrong idea. Mr. Fuller?
Well, the person could be correct about that.
Why do you say that?
Leave words alone. Leave them right in place the way that they are. But the reason I said that is because I also added something else with that. What the result will be. See, I'm always talking about results.
Okay.
RESULTS. Results. Constructive results. See, the only reason for moving one thing from one place to another, including the definition of a word, or putting in new words and getting rid of old ones, or resurrecting old ones and putting in, and calling them new ones, is what is the result when you do that, okay? What is the result? So if somebody wants to redefine the N word, go ahead. ahead and redefine it. I did, as far as I was concerned. I mean, however, it was still on the wavelength of what it had been, but I embraced it, you might say, if you want to use that term, but not in the way that the white supremacists would approve of. All right? I don't think. Because I think the way that I redefined it in the textbook for victims of white supremacists, it's right along the lines of how it has been used. But I kind of added something to it by saying that, well, really, the definition literally is the N-word is a victim of white supremacy. You can only be that if you are a victim of white supremacy. And you have to be non-white first to be that, and then you are that, functionally. Because that's really what it means. The white supremacists say it's a derogatory term for a person of African descent who is Negroid or colored, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, watch how that word has gained power and held that power for all these years. Mm-hmm. I've repeated this on this program, but it's also explained in the book, Textbook for Victims of White Supremacy.
Yes.
Now, when you say the N-word, what does that really mean? Well, look in any dictionary and you say it's a derogatory term. Sometimes the word derogatory is italicized, meaning emphasized.
Okay.
But it doesn't tell you why it's derogatory. See, that's the key to its power.
Mm-hmm.
I can use any word if I'm name calling. I can make up a word right now. I can say, you are a dadu. You say, a what? An adadu. Oh, yeah, you're one of those adadus.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that.
Right. Okay. And a person says, naturally, when you coin a word, when you come up with a new word, and you call somebody that word like you're calling them a name, since it's a new word, the person doesn't know what the name means. Now, that's where the power comes from. But once you give that word a definition, the word adado, all right, once you give it a definition, it immediately starts losing its power. The thing that has baffled people, including all the scholars, or a lot of scholars, I'll say, except those who figured it out, why does that word have so much power year after year, regardless of how you try to get rid of it and all like that? It doesn't have a definition. All the scholars, all the professors should pay attention to that. They keep saying it's a derogatory term for a person of African descent, but it doesn't tell you why it's derogatory. Mm-hmm. So that means it has no description. And that is where the power of the word is.
So when
you can call a person by any kind of word that doesn't have a definition, and you can tear that person's brain apart.
Okay, so when
the key is don't give it a definition.
Don't give it a definition. Okay, so when the president called Haiti and the African nations S-hole nations, people interpret that as being derogative, but I don't recall anybody asking him, well, what is a S-hole nation?
Yes, but by him saying, well, everybody kind of knows that that's associated with a toilet, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Literally. So that has a definition.
Okay, all right.
All right. Now you can have a discussion based on why is it a toilet if such nations exist.
Okay, I see.
Why are those nations toilets?
Yeah, I see.
Last week, I talked about that.
Okay.
Because I talked about a person born 2,000 years ago who many people would say was born in a toilet.
Okay. Yeah, you did.
See, I mean, once you give it a definition, you can go with that definition.
Okay.
But a word that doesn't have a definition, and a person keeps calling you by that word, and it never has a definition, you can drive that person crazy.
Okay.
If you don't believe it, just make up any word, start calling people that, and have everybody laughing every time you say it.
Yeah,
you can drive the person crazy. And never tell them what the definition is, because don't give it a definition.
Well, I'm going to define what Dadu is later on in the program. But anyway.
Oh, I made that up.
Okay.
Dadu is not in the book.
Oh, okay.
I made that up off the top of my head. You can pick out any word that nobody never heard before.
Okay. Well, that was a good one, I'll tell you that. Speaking about a good one, Mr. Fuller, this is the time that we need to discuss your publication. So take it away.
Right. You can get the textbook for victims of white supremacy. It's called The United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept. That's a bunch of words that don't mean anything until you look in the book, and it describes what each one of those words mean.
Yes, sir.
But it's a compensatory counter-racist code guidebook. It also has an expanded edition in the form of another volume called A Compensatory Counter-Racist Codified Word Guide, since we're talking about words now. What words to use, what words not to use, what words to ask questions about when other people use them, that type of thing. Mm-hmm. But basically, the two volumes put together are designed for the individual victim of white supremacy. If you are not a victim of white supremacy or do not perceive yourself as being one, the books are not for you. These volumes are not for you. They're for victim people who say that they are being harmed because of color. That's what a victim is. If you're being harmed, either directly or indirectly, in any area of activity, economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, war, if you're being harmed, either directly or indirectly, and you're a person who is classified as non-white, then the book, I wrote it with the intention of showing you as an individual, making some suggestions about what you as an individual person, without asking anybody anything, what to do about it.
Okay.
Every minute of the day, wherever you happen to be on the planet, what you can do wherever you happen to be, without even attending any meetings. Just start doing it yourself, because everything is about doing and saying. That's where real power comes from. Starts with the individual.
Mm-hmm.
Thought, speech, action.
Yes,
you
sir.
Think, then you speak, but you have to know what to say and what not to say, and then you act, and you have to know what to do and what not to do. That's what it is.
Okay. All righty. Let's see.
You can get it by going to producejustice.com.
All righty.
Left that out.
All righty.
Producejustice.com.
Producejustice.com is where you can get the book. Before we take the call, quickly, someone asked this, Mr. Fuller. Jordan asked, are you still working on the list of movies to study from?
Yes, when I get a chance. But there's so many things coming at me and whatnot. I already have my list, about 40 movies that I recommend, roughly.
Okay.
And I have them sort of in a sequence that I would suggest people look at it, because the book of the movie, the bulk of it, of the movies that I suggest, is kind of in some type of chronological order when it comes to learning things. They're not exactly in chronological order according to the events of history, but I kind of orchestrate it in such a way that people can learn basically about how things evolved and where we are now, and last but not least, what to do and what not to do, and learn from scenes in every movie.
Okay.
But I'll put this won't be in any future book or anything like that, but it will be on my website when I finally get it together.
Okay.
I should have gotten it together about a year ago.
Yes, sir. Okay. All right. What line am I on here? Line 1? Okay. Line 1, you're on with Mr. Fuller. Go ahead with your question.
Yes, hello. Good morning, Mr. Bobby and Mr. Fuller. This is Tyreek from the Bronx.
Hey, Tyreek. All righty. Go ahead, sir.
How you doing?
Good, sir.
My question to Mr. Fuller is, when or what did you, what circumstance led you to the realization that you had to fight white supremacy 24/7, 365 days a year for the rest of the time that you're on the planet until the problem is solved?
Yeah, well, because I started using logic, and I said, what influences me more than anything else? Me, Neely Fuller. What is the greatest influence over my entire existence? Out of every move that I make, what influences me more than anything? And I said, the culture that I'm in, Well, what culture that you're in, Fuller? I'm in a culture of racism. Every move that I make is a result of racism. You know, whether I realize it or not. If I look at it, stop and look at what I'm doing, stop and think about what I plan to do, getting into that plan again, what I want to do, I'm dealing with racism.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care which way I turn. And I began to realize that back in the 1950s. I mean, seriously. I had a subliminal feeling about that, but I said, oh, yeah, you run into racism. Racism is, I was like most people, racism is out there. What do you mean racism is out there? Out there? Out there where? Well, it's out there. Racism, every now and then you kind of bump into some racism when you're on your way to somewhere else. I mean, and it kind of gets in your way. I mean, it kind of disturbs you. All right? No, racism doesn't work like that. Racism dictates, if you're black, racism dictates every move that you make, whether you realize it or not. Everything that you want to do, every holiday you want to celebrate, everybody that you want to talk to. I mean, when you take out your cell phone and you want to talk to somebody, racism is going to dictate your conversation. When I began to realize that, I said, that's scary, you know, to myself. But then I asked myself the most important question. Is it true? Fuller, is that true? Or are you getting ready to make up something that's not true? And when I looked at it and put a test to it, I found out that it was true. And when I looked at everything going on around me, I said, oh, boy, this is something. This is a juggernaut. Every move that a black person makes is directly or indirectly dictated by people who believe in and who practice a thing called the system of white supremacy. That's every move in economics, in education, in entertainment, in labor, in law, in politics, in religion, in sex, S-E-X, in sex. Every move that you make sexually is dictated by the white supremacists. If you're black and on this planet called Earth, might be different on another planet, it's not different here, and in war. And what is white supremacy? It is a perpetual war. And all non-white people in 2018, right this minute, according to all of the evidence, now this is either true or false, all non-white people are now prisoners of war. Not, it's no such thing as working outside the prison. You're born in the prison. The prison name is what? The system of white supremacy and or racism. Racism is white supremacy. White supremacy is racism. There's no other government that's worthy of the name government on this planet right this minute in the year 2018. Now, that statement is either true or false, and I have bought into it as being absolutely true. I did it reluctantly because I didn't want to believe it. I still don't like it. I don't like believing it. But the question is, Fuller, not what you believe. Is that statement true?
True, yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
And every time I ask myself that and try to look for evidence that is not true, I never find it. I never find it. I never run into anybody who says, Fuller, I found out that what you said ain't true. The white supremacists don't run nothing that I do.
Wow.
All right? I've never had anybody be able to prove that.
Okay. Thank you, Brother Tyreek. Listen, when you hear the music, you know what that means. TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio the way it should be heard. Hey, don't forget, I got something to tell you. I've been just given the authority, so stay tuned. We'll give it to you in the second hour. Thank you for listening. TalkTainmentRadio.com, radio the way it should be heard.
Thanks for listening to The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio.
The most important question in all racial matters is why. one should always ask it.
Radio, the way it should be heard.
You've got the power. The world's greatest radio. Talktainmentradio.com. Talktainment Radio, worldwide sound. Talktainmentradio.com. We give you a reason to come. The world's greatest radio. We give you a reason to stay. Radio, the way it should be heard. You got the power.
The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guest and not necessarily those of TalkTainmentRadio.com, the management, the staff, or K&E World Network, LLC.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
This is the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio. Radio, the way it should be heard. And now, Mr. Neely Fuller.
If you do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Only confuse you. Only confuse.
All righty. Man, that was a lively discussion in the first hour of the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard here on TalkTainmentRadio.com. You can join in on the conversation by calling 1-877-932-9766. You can also Gmail me at the number 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY @gmail.com. You can hear the program in its entirety by going to Facebook.com/Talktainment, and you can also do this. You can go to the YouTube channel, click on the word Talktainment, then hit the space bar and then radio, then scroll down to Talktainment number 2 live on YouTube, and you're there. That way you can not only see us, but you can also hear us. And while you are there, hit that subscribe and like button. You'll be glad that you did. We have some reoccurring people who make donations, and I'm going to read those names to you. Brian Gaston, Eric Williams, B.W. Gifts, my friend down in Houston, Texas. Helen Nance and Don Mitchner are some of the people, but you can get on this list too, because very soon our yearly donation for the second hour will be coming up, and all you have to do is go to the TalkTainmentRadio.com homepage, and I believe above the telephone or below the telephone number is a donation button that you can hit and donate to the second hour of the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller. All those donations go in there. Mr. Fuller doesn't get not one penny or dime from it, and neither do I. But hit that so we can continue to do and have this program aired here on TalkTainmentRadio.com. Now, for the radio tease that I've been teaching about, I just got the authority, and here it is. Coming next month, February, on Talktainment Radio, 2 programs are returning to Talktainment Radio, and those are, number 1, Conversate in the AM with Kahari Inaharo. Yeah, you've been wanting him back, so he's back. And also, the latest in the world of sports, Talking Sports with Mr. Bobby. That's me. These programs will be live, taking your comments by calling 1-877-932-9766. So that's Conversate in the AM with Kahari, and Talking Sports with Mr. Bobby will make their February debut. I think mine will be February the 5th. Same way with Kahari's? Yeah, okay, yeah, both programs will make if there's such a word, how about this? A compensatory word, re-premiere on February the 5th. All righty, so that's out the way. Today we've been asking a question, and Mr. Fuller has been doing that, and we also have a phone call. The question is that today has been, what do you want to do in the system of racism and white supremacy? If you haven't heard the first hour, get the first hour, hear the first hour, what Mr. Fuller had to say about that, asking 4 questions, important questions, and mostly what is the constructive result of what you want to do. Let's take a phone call. What line am I on? Line 1? Okay. Line 1, you're on with Mr. Fuller. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Bobby, Mr. Fuller.
All right, sir. Good morning.
Hey, I've been very disturbed by something that happened over the weekend. We have a sister in our community in the name of Monique that decided that she was being financially mistreated and decided that she was not going to accept certain type of treatment and asked the community to do a certain boycott of a certain business. Now, according to the code, what should be our proper response to this?
Okay, Mr. Fuller?
According to the code, the United Independent System, that's why it's called the United Independent, each individual listens to what the lady says and makes his or her decision based on what they want to do. All right? What they think that will be the constructive result of doing it. And answer to those 4 questions about wants. It all has to do with wants. This is something that she wants, and she wants other people to do it. See, not only what she wants to do, she's saying what I want you to do, what I want somebody else to do. All right? I want them to engage in boycotting something. Okay? So every person, United Independent System, should make his or her decision based on that person, not on what somebody else is doing or what somebody else's evaluation is. Look at it, examine it, and see what he or she thinks as an individual should do and why, and then do it or not do it, because it's a serious part of counter-racist science is no victim, no prisoner of war should try to belittle or any other prisoner of war about what his or her choices might be, or try to dictate, because you're not in position to dictate, or disparage, start name-calling and all that. I'm trying to get people to read the code book,
yes,
and to follow this. But one of the first people that looked at my book said, "Fuller, I looked at your book, and I turned the pages through it, and you make some good points and all like that, but you know what? I mean, it ain't nothing in that book that'll help me do nothing. I mean, I don't see no value in what you wrote. I don't see, He said, man, I looked at it, and, I don't see nothing there. I don't see nothing that I can use." And I said, and I told the person, this is one of the first people to look at my book, according to this person. It was a male black person, a black male person. And that's what he said. Now, my reaction was, that's exactly the way that the book is supposed to work. You only pick and choose whatever's in this book that will apply to you and something that you want to do or something you think ought to be done, and then you do it without checking with anybody else, without looking over your shoulder or anything like that, without getting anybody else's approval or disapproval. You just do it. Why? Because it works for you. Do it. Do it. Or don't do it, including read this book. Read any more of it. And I said, did you read the whole book? He said, I read a lot of it. And he said, I don't know whether I read most of it or not. He said, because I wouldn't get nothing out of none of it. And I said, but that's exactly the way this book is supposed to work. I said, if that's the conclusion you have come to, that's the conclusion you should come to when anybody shows you any book. You make the determination of whether or not there's anything in any book that will help you do the things that you think need doing. That's the United Independent way. And you'll never hear me speak against you about, your choice that you made, because the code prohibits me from doing that. And getting back to the crux of what this question was about, the lady can ask people to do anything, just like I ask people to do things. If the people do not want to do it, then the people don't want to do it. That's all. And leave them alone. Okay? Why? Because the logic says we are all equal prisoners. I'm nobody's leader. I'm not qualified. You can't lead someone in a prison. and you're in the prison yourself. I mean, you can make suggestions about what you think about the prison and what ought to be done. But if nobody wants to listen to your suggestion, who's a fellow prisoner, I mean, you're right back at square one. Okay? So you just do what you can do, like Andy Dufresne in the movie Shawshank Redemption. He just did what he could do. And what he did worked for him. All right? And it worked for someone who took note of what he was doing, and they got a little benefit from it. That was the person that he talked to all the time.
Yeah, Red.
Played by Morgan Freeman, Red. Red listened to Andy Dufresne and say, yeah, Andy, you got some pretty good ideas. I think if I follow some of your ideas, I might make my situation a little better than they are right now. Okay? So this is what you do. United Independent. But one person, one black person on this planet cannot talk down to any other black person, period. I mean, the smartest black person on the planet has no business talking down to another black person. Why? For a very logical reason. All prisoners of racism are equal. And if you don't believe it, ask the warden, the white supremacists, because they're the great levelers. They decide the fate of all the black people on this planet. I don't care, and this is why the code book says no such thing as a black leader. All of the leaders of black people on this planet in 2018 are white. Every last one of them. Now, that statement is either true or false. Because a leader can do what? Protect his or her followers from aggression. That's what qualifies you to be a leader. You don't have to protect yourself. All you got to do is just call your leader and say, hey, they're getting ready to try to do this to me and do that to me on my job and all like that. I want you to take care of it. Then you go to sleep. Okay?
Okay.
But now, what do we have? We have, in the form of black people, who we call leaders, we have spokespersons. Now, what does a spokesperson do? A spokesperson speaks. Neely Fuller is a spokesperson. Anybody that calls in on this program is a spokesperson. You're just speaking. All right? But we're all subject to who? To whom? Racist man and racist woman, the white supremacists collectively, under the system of white supremacy. That's a prison system.
Okay.
So we are all equal prisoners of war. We should not forget that for 2 seconds.
Okay. Now, with that being said, Mr. Fuller, with the events which happened last week or weekend concerning the government shutdown, I can't see what the constructive result of that would be, especially being that in 2 more weeks it's going to happen again. I don't understand it. What is the compensatory response to something like that?
By the effect. You always go by the effect of any move that people make and see how it affects you. See what I mean? If you come up short on a check when you need a check, and you come up not having a check, and somebody says, you need to pay me some money. And the person says, well, the money that I usually get, I didn't get. Now, you just have one question. Was that constructive for you or for the person that you owe? The answer is no. So this is what you say. But once you say it, it's the white supremacists who are going to make the decision of whether or not you're going to get another check ever.
Okay.
Or get any money. See, we can't. See, we say white supremacy like it has nothing to do with us sometimes. It has to do with every move that you make and every breath that you take. Because they can take your breath away from you anytime they get ready.
Yes, sir. So
the only thing that can stop that would be what? Under the system of white supremacy, is whatever created you. Because there's no one else that got that kind of muscle to keep the white supremacists from stopping you if you're black. If you have black skin or non-white skin, there's nothing that can stop them from killing you while you're in their prison. if you know anything about being a prisoner of war, if you've heard about it or read about it and whatnot, and you just look at the options that a prisoner of war has, prisoners of war are just that, prisoners. Prisoners don't have any muscle. They can make a lot of noise. They can protest. They can cause a riot. But after the riot is over, they all fall down exhausted and whatnot. And the warden and his assistants, meaning, in this case, the white supremacists, just come and say, now, are you all through? Are you through demonstrating? Are you through raising hell in my prison? Well, now, all of you ones that did all this spokesperson stuff, I'm going to put you in solitary confinement for about 6 months, and the rest of you all to get the message. End of story.
Okay.
The only way to deal with racism is what? You have to get rid of the entire system.
Yes, sir.
Now, that's a huge order.
And replace it.
And replace it with a system of justice.
All righty.
That's the only way. Not anything short of that, you're going to have just what you have, like these shutdowns. It's going to keep reoccurring. Every misery that you have is going to continue into infinity. It won't stop. See, once something starts, something has to stop it. So that's what I wrote the code books for. I didn't write the code book to kind of chip away at this thing called racism, all right, or to bounce it around and whatnot, or to move it around from one place to another. I wrote the book with the intention, whether it succeeds or not, of eliminating the entire system. And I think I've come up with a formula for doing so.
All righty.
But that can only be proven when it happens.
Yes, sir. Okay, TalkTainmentRadio.com is a 24/7, no-charge, worldwide broadcasting facility with hosts delivering on various topics such as news, lifestyle, sports, law, health, wellness, religion, and politics. Here's two I'd like to share with you. Yeah. How about that world of travel? Yeah, it's on its Your Time to Travel with Ricky Tyus. And also this program, This is Libby. Now, these programs are exclusive to TalkTainmentRadio.com. All you have to do is go on the home page of TalkTainmentRadio.com, click on programs, and there is a list of the programs that Talktainment has on its airwaves. So go there and check it out. And while you're there, hit that share button right underneath the telephone number, because we are coming up on our season for donations for the second hour of the compensatory concept with Mr. Neely Fuller and me as co-host, yours truly, Mr. Bobby. But you don't have to wait till we officially open up the campaign. You can do it now, because the campaign really never closed. Brian Gaston, Eric Williams, B.W. Gifts, Helen Nance, and Dawn Mitchner are just a few of the reoccurring gifts. And I was told this morning that they contribute every month, but you can also do that too. Anytime you want to, just hit that donation button. Doesn't matter the amount. Just hit it and keep this program alive. All right. All righty. From TalkTainmentRadio.com, this is Radio the Way It Should Be Heard. 1-877-932-9766 is the number that you can call. You can also Gmail me at the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY, @gmail.com. Listen to the program again on Facebook.com/Talktainment. And, of course, by going to the YouTube channel, click on YouTube, type in Talktainment, and then the next prompt is to scroll down to the next area, type in radio, and then Talktainment 2 Live, I believe that is. And then you're there. That way you can see and you can hear us. And while you're there, hit that subscribe and like button. You're going to make somebody really, really, really happy. Okay. All right, let's do this here. We are discussing the topic of what do you want to do? Why do you want to do it? How are you going to do it? And what do you expect the constructive result to be of what it is that you want? Going to the Gmails, this Gmail says this, Mr. Fuller. You always say that you call us prisoners of war because that is what we are, but only really of our own minds. You can't make a sandwich until you decide to make a sandwich and then actually go do it. we haven't decided that we want a sandwich yet. I guess he's speaking metaphorically. To be free, really free, because this horrible way of life seems normal to us, and we don't believe we deserve anything better. We praise Jesus, and yet think God is always frowning on us. Makes no blank word sense. We are God. So I'm not frowning at myself at all. What do you think, Mr. Fuller? This comes from Brother Thompson.
Well, that might get into a lot of religious debate, which the code does not allow me to say anything against any religion except the religion of white supremacy. Reason being, it doesn't work, all right? If I say anything against Confucianism or Judaism or Islam or Christianity or even hint that I might be doing that, any of the major religions or any of the tribal religions are something that people believe in and act upon. Otherwise, they wouldn't be religions. So I have learned from experience that when you attack or sound like you're criticizing anybody's religion, you are asking for an endless argument. That's number one, that you're not going to win, and maybe get into a big fight that's going to end in bloodshed. And you can get bloodshed without getting in any fight at all.
Yes.
All right? With anybody about any issue.
Yes, sir.
You can get bloodshed just walking around just killing people just because they're there. I mean, you don't have to have a reason. So that's not anything when you know that that's what's going to happen. All right? So I prefer not to go there.
Okay.
Except against one religion, one exception. The religion of white supremacy.
Yes, sir.
And that's the name of the religion of white supremacy. White supremacy is its own religion. White supremacists do not believe in any religion other than white supremacy.
Other than white supremacy, yes,
right.
sir.
Let's get that straight. A white supremacist is not a Christian, is not a Jew, is not a Muslim, is not a Confucian, is not a Hindu, is not a Republican, is not a Democrat. A white supremacist is what? A racist, and a racist is a white supremacist. A white supremacist does not believe in anything, but they'll claim that they believe in everything if they'll get you to believe it, because they believe in what? Confusion. And being willing to lie or say anything that you can get somebody else to believe is a lot of power if you can get people to do it.
Yes, sir.
And they found that out a long time ago. So a white supremacist will say anything. A white supremacist will be a Republican at 10 o'clock, and 11 o'clock, there'll be a stone independent. And then at 1 o'clock, he'll be a stone Democrat. A white supremacist will be anything that they, when they're talking, depending on who they're talking to, that they can get you to believe and go along with them.
Yes, sir.
That way they always have you, because it always looks like they're going your way.
Mm-hmm.
All right? And they are masters of deception, because whichever way they start out, whatever label they come under, they know how to maneuver in such a way that at the beginning and the end of every day, if you're black, you will be under that white supremacist thumb. I don't care what they call themselves. I don't care what kind of title they have, and they have zillions of them, all right? But what they are white supremacists.
Okay.
And once you latch on to that, you got it all.
Got it all. All righty. From the Gmails, this comes from JL, and she says this: Mr. Fuller, I suspect that Trump's presidency is an experiment to gauge the world's response to his outrageous words and actions. It is a chance to see if the people will be passive and will and accept evil, or resist evil and support the creator/produce justice. I suspect that Trump has very little real influence beyond the cabal government and that they would allow. My question is, Mr. Fuller, do you believe that there is a secret government that calls the shots?
Well, secret and non-secret.
At the same time.
One government.
Okay.
I'm going to say it again. It's called the system, capital letters now, the system of white supremacy. That's the only government on the planet. There is no American government. There is no African government. There is no Asian government. These are all ambitions. America is an idea. It's a concept, a wonderful idea, because it's what? What does the word America or an American mean? It means a person. That's what it comes down to. It's not a mountain, like some poets might say. It's mountains everywhere. All right, it's mountains on the moon, okay, or or mountains on Mars, I guess. Are they Americans? The mountains, Americans? It's not a field of grain. You can call it that. If you're a poet, you can call anything anything. All right? But an American is a person that does what? Because it always comes down to doing. A person that practices justice. Now, what about African? What is an African? Is an African the same as an American? Absolutely. Yes. An African is the same as an American, and so is an Asian the same as an American. Then the question is, well, if that's so, what is an American? Is an American, by definition, is a person that practices justice, which means a person that guarantees that no person is mistreated and that guarantees that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help 24/7 in every area of activity. Now, when you look for anybody on this planet that qualifies for that title, you come up with what? Zero. So that leaves what? The system of white supremacy. That's the only government that you have. If you don't have an American, and you don't have an African, and you don't have an Asian, because you don't have anybody that practices justice, because you can't have justice and white supremacy on the same planet at the same time. See, I'm talking about math now. I'm talking about political math. And I'm talking about also philosophical math. Any way you shake that up and pour it, that's the way it comes out. And if, I threw out a lot of terms there with a lot of different definitions that are new, you might say, to a lot of people. But when you look at it in fine detail and study it, 40 days and 40 nights, or 40 years and 40 nights, that's what you're going to come up with. That's what I came up with. I wasn't inventing anything. I was taking what was there and interpreting it line by line, word for word, for what it really is.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be an American and don't practice justice. But if you're not practicing justice, you can't be an American. And you cannot practice justice in a system of white supremacy, because you can't have white supremacy and justice on the same planet at the same time. It is absolutely impossible for anybody to do that. And you can go to any court, anybody who wants to take all these statements I just made to any kind of court in the world and start taking things apart for what they really are and calling things what they really are by the names that are already out here. That's what you're going to come up with.
Mm-hmm. Now, that word American, now, was that your compensatory definition of what an American is or supposed to be?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I ran into.
I got it.
The definition was already there, but I wasn't seeing it.
Okay.
Because anybody would tell you that an American practices justice.
Okay. All righty.
An American without practicing justice.
All righty.
Practicing justice is impossible in the system of white supremacy.
Got it. TalkTainmentradio.com. We go where you go. Check us out on 94.1 WGRN. Podcasts are available. Download the TalkTainmentradio.com to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. Stay right there. We'll have more of your Gmails and more questions and answers from Mr. Fuller on TalkTainmentradio.com.
Attention Central Ohio. Are you looking for a full-service cleaning company? Call C&E Cleaning Services. No jobs too large or small. And we also clean homes. We're abundant and insured for your protection. Call us today at 614-450-0463. Number again is 614-450-0463. Our expert staff is courteous and professional. You'll be glad you called C&E. Call us today at 614-450-0463.
References provided upon request. We are looking to hire a few good people. Call today.
Goddess, girl, you got this. Dynasty Goddess virgin hair. Watch them stop and stare. Soft, luxurious hair. Dynasty Goddess virgin hair.
Stop paying for overpriced virgin hair. Introducing Dynasty Goddess hair. Soft, luxurious, high-quality hair at affordable prices. Visit dynastygoddess.com or call 800-285-6210. Dynasty Goddess Hair.
Pastor Clifford Riley and the congregation at Mount Gerizim Missionary Baptist Church cordially invite you to worship with us. Yes, come to the Mountain of Blessings for a spirited, love-filled experience. Our Sunday services and twice on Wednesday Bible study will change your life. We are located at 2633 Mock Road, and our phone number is 614-475-9712. Again, 2633 Mock Road, or call 614-475-9712.
Are you ready to earn a certification in healthcare, business, or manufacturing while achieving your high school diploma? Then you're ready for Life Skills High School, a free public school option for Ohio students 16 to 21 years old. Learn more about your free high school educational options at lifeskillshs.org.
Queen's Legacy of Love 12 brand launch and grand opening. Currently looking for hosts, photographers, models, dancers, entertainers, ushers, comedians, production managers, model coordinators, stage crew, vendors, volunteers, sponsors, public relations and media personnel, and extras. Contact ggoldqqueen22@yahoo.com.
Queens of Queens.
For the best home fragrance and beauty products, shop Ash Kickin online.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Made with 100% natural quality ingredients and handcrafted with your family in mind, Ash Kickin products are better than those other guys. Ash Kickin candles, incense, body butter, face moisturizer, and hair moisturizer are priced just right, and you can get yours at 10% off with coupon code TALK17. Support this 100% black-owned business and get your home and body smelling and feeling all right.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Shop Ash Kickin online at www.ashkickin.com.
This is Al Edmondson, owner of a Cutter Brother Rest Barbershop. I'm calling on all barbers and beauticians. It's time for us to unite as one. We can serve our communities better together. Join the Ohio Black Barber Beauty Network. For more information, visit www.obbn.org or call 614-427-3226 to get more information. Be the change that you want to see in your community. Join our network.
Think fast. In less than 30 seconds, a small flame can become a big fire. Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and keep heaters 3 feet away from anything that can burn. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov because fire is everyone's fight.
Do you have problems controlling high blood pressure? Good news. You can enroll in Helping Hands Health and Wellness Center's health coaching program utilizing the innovative Twine Health platform. We will help you set your goals, keep in touch with you via your cell phone, and may provide you a free blood pressure cuff. Call us at 614-462-0114 or visit us on the web at www.helpinghandsfreeclinic.org to see if you qualify. This program is provided to you by a grant from the CVS Health Foundation.
I've got the water, energy bars, and camera. I think we're set for the hike.
Almost. We need to protect our skin. Don't forget your wide-brimmed hat and sunscreen.
All right. I've got the hat. I've got SPF 30. Will that work?
Yeah, anything 15 or higher is good. Just make sure it says broad spectrum.
Great. Got it. I am not getting burned again. Let's go.
Learn more at cdc.gov/cancer.
Families affected by disasters urgently need support. Help the American Red Cross provide meals and shelter to those affected by disasters, big and small. Donate to Red Cross Disaster Relief. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS.
If you or someone you know is abusing drugs and or alcohol and want to stop the abuse, Contact APDS at 1409 East Livingston Avenue. Office hours are 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily and 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday. APDS is certified by the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services and primarily funded through the Adam H. Board. Fees are based on your income and Medicaid is always accepted. For more information, call 614-253-4448.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkTimidRadio.com.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Go ahead. Make my day.
You got the power.
Alrighty, TalkTimidRadio.com. We go where you go. Download the TalkTimidRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. I am Mr. Bobby, and this is the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Our dominant subject on the line on today's program has been and is, what do you want to do? Why do you want to do it? When do you plan on doing it? And what is the expected constructive result of what you want to do? Phone lines are open, 1-877-932-9766. You can also Gmail me, the numero 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY at gmail.com. You can also hear the program by going to facebook.com/talktainment. And you can see and hear the program right now live by going to the YouTube channel. Click on there and hit where it says Talktainment, and then scroll down for radio, and then Talktainment 2 live, and you can see us and hear us. Hit the subscribe button and the like button, and you'll be all together. Now, let's go to the phone line. What line am I on? Line number 1. You are now on with Mr. Fuller. Go ahead, please.
You got me, brother?
Hey, my brother. Go ahead.
All right. Wish you and Mr. Fuller well, and I appreciate the work you do.
Thank you, sir.
Don't call me sir, brother. I work for a living.
Okay.
What I want to do, I would like to escape out of this white supremacy country here and maybe go somewhere else and live my life out if I can. Me and my wife, maybe if I can bring 2 or 3 more people. And that's if I had the resources. Because if you do escape out of here, once they crash this system, all you're going to have is the money that you took. Now, I won't say again, I ain't heard nothing I ain't heard 1,000 times. I'm not going to say nothing I ain't said 1,000 times. Mr. Hitler did not overthrow the power structure in Germany. The power structure in Germany allowed Mr. Hitler to come into power and do exactly what he did. Donna Hitler Mussolini dump did not overthrow the power structure in this white supremacy country. This power structure put him in to do exactly what he's doing and to set the table for the extermination of so-called black people in this country. Now, as you keep hearing these shootings every day in Chicago, every day, shootings, killing, all on the news, but the media and the power structure, they don't talk about it. Sure, they report it, but they don't say, what's going on in America? How can we have all these shootings? Something had to be done. They don't say that. They report the story and they move on like nothing happened. The reason they are doing this, they are sitting the table for what's finna happen here. What do you think other people in other parts of the world are saying when they keep hearing all this violence in America? They saying, what's going on in America? Man, you hear about this? They are sitting the table, creating context for what's finna happen here.
Okay.
But they are not after white people. They are not coming to exterminate white people. They are coming to exterminate black people who they have enslaved and who they know they owe and they need to repair, and they don't want to do it.
All
so
right, my brother.
We going to get rid of them.
Okay.
And it's coming down the pipe, and I suggest if you can escape. It don't mean you're going to get away from white supremacy. They run the world. But you can go somewhere.
I gotta live
your life out.
I gotta leave it there, my brother.
Okay,
but thank
brother.
you. All right, thank you. All right, VGQ. That's VGQ from the Extermination Man. We call him that, or the radio people call him that affectionately. Okay, Mr. Fuller, as we come down here, looking at the time, let's do this. Let's address your book, your publication. Give us all the latest information. And by the way, someone asked, can you get that book overseas?
You can get it in the UK.
Okay.
And in other parts of the world, people who are associated with somebody in the United Kingdom, meaning England, that area, in other parts of the world, that's where you have to go at this particular time. I mean, that's the only place other than Canada. Canada and the UK overseas. But in what they call the continental United States, you go to producejustice.com. But as of right now, you can't get it in other parts of the world on account of it's just too difficult and it's not cost effective to the person who is buying it or just going through the process of trying to ship it and whatnot. But we're trying to work our way through that so that people, lots of people in South Africa and whatnot, and so-called whatnot, and other parts of the world have asked for the book. But it's just too difficult. The mail-in system, etc., it's not feasible because it's not cost-effective at this time. But in the UK and in Canada, outside of what they call the continental United States, you can get it. And here in what they call the continental, quote-unquote, United States, you can get it by going to producejustice.com.
Okay. All right. I have a phone call, but I want to say this before I make the phone call. You spoke about South Africa, and I have a text from a brother from South Africa, since you just happened to mention that. And so after the telephone call, we will go to that. Okay, caller, line 1, you're on with Mr. Fuller. Go ahead, please.
How you doing, Mr. Fuller, Mr. Bobby? This is Brother Muko from Baltimore.
Yes, sir, Brother Muko.
Where we hold the compensatory constructive action meeting every Saturday, and this Saturday we're holding it at Lake Clifton under the dome, 9 to 10 a.m. in the morning. My question for Mr. Fuller. Mr. Fuller, can you please expound on your point that's not in the book, but you make it very often, and I think you might have made it today. I tuned in a little late. But can you please expound for my care unit in Baltimore and all the care units all around how the white supremacists plays each side of every position? I think you said something like that. No, they play every side of each argument, both sides of each argument. Can you expound on that?
Yes.
Because I think a lot of
yes.
forget that.
Yes. In answer to the question, yes. Now, not all white supremacists are what you might call efficient at it. It's just like any other business. You have some people who are efficient and others who aren't. But the real refined white supremacists, the ones who really think on that global scale and keep that in mind, and also think way ahead. I mean, trying to think 50, 60, 100 or 150 years ahead. The refined white supremacists, the most skilled ones, that's how they think. They think of, now, this is what we're going to have black people doing 150 years from now. See, they think at that level. Black people, throughout the world mostly think about just getting through the day because we're in a desperate situation. We just want to figure out how to get through next week, if we possibly can, some kind of way. The white supremacists are very laid back and very methodical. They refine white supremacists. So they make their plans way ahead of time. And they think about, now, this is how we're going to be handling them. Now, 10 years from now, black people will, in this area of the world, we're going to reduce their population. We're going to put AIDS in there. We're going to put this and that. We're going to start some type of fever and whatnot. And we'll wipe out part of that population until we get it down to the size that we want it, the labor size, all right? So so that we'll have just the right number that we want working for us. And we got some, let's see now, and then they'll look around on the map and whatnot. Oh, we got some Salvadorans here and whatnot. Now, this is what we're, all the dark-skinned ones, we'll sort them out and whatnot. And we're going to have them doing this and that and the other, for the next 10 or 15 years. And then we have a plan B after that, and we got a plan C in mind, but we don't have that come to fruition yet. Now, I think I'm answering the question, and if I'm not, I don't want to deviate too far from the question. But
definitely,
this basically is what they do. They plan everything well in advance, and they have the white code, which is something non-white people do not have a counter-racist code. The white code is a racist code. What is missing is we don't have a counter-racist code. We're not even thinking that we need one. We think that hand clapping and kente cloth and, and putting on some slippers and whatnot that were manufactured in Ghana. I mean, hey, we
absolutely,
we call it our culture and whatnot. And a lot of people who call themselves Indians, they just concentrate on, we just want to be able to commune with nature like our ancestors did, and don't disturb our graves and all like that. And the white supremacists said, oh, no problem, as long as I'm making drunkards out of your children. I mean, you don't have a code for that.
Yeah.
You don't have a plan for that. I mean, if I can load you all up with diseases and whatnot and have you killing each other on the reservations and whatnot, hey, I mean, you can dance around all the fires you want to. I'll build a fire, I'll provide all the charcoal and everything.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and as far as you black people, they are building museums and all like that. If you want to talk about, all the glorious things you want to do, you want to brag, I'll help you brag. I mean, a bragging black person is just right for me. I love them. That's the white supremacists.
Right.
That's the way they look at it,
Absolutely.
And
Thank you for clearing that up.
Okay, and the code says going into this next year, and going into this next month, really. Black History Month, we should say no more bragging.
Oh, absolutely.
We're not celebrating nothing.
Yeah.
We're educating.
Educating.
We're changing the word celebration to education, meaning problem solving.
Good
that
point.
Education will consist of two words, problem solving. If you're not solving a problem, you're not educated. You ain't nowhere near.
Right.
Okay?
That's right.
All right.
Absolutely.
We need those kind of words.
Thank you, Brother Muko, very much. Appreciate you calling, man.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, Mr. Fuller, let's see here. You spoke about South Africa a caller ago. This comes from Brother D. Amini in South Africa. He says, Mr. Fuller, how do I control my emotions and not have them control me? I wish to reach my maximum productive potential like you, Mr. Neely Fuller, and President Jacob Zuma of the Republic of South Africa. Our country is changing. We will be expropriating land without compensating the white supremacists who monopolize the land, sea, and sky. We have welcomed all nations to our country and continent. Africa needs us children of the soil of Africa, and the entire world needs all of us to begin the system of justice. I want to learn how to control my emotions, especially of fear and doubt. Mr. Fuller?
Oh, fear and doubt serve a purpose. It's just a matter of controlling fear and controlling doubt.
Well, he was asking that. How does he do that?
You do that through a code. And what is a code? A way of going, thinking, speaking, and acting. All right? And you think, speak, and act according to what we have been talking about in this entire program and what we talk about all the time on the program, and that is constructive results. If you're talking to white people in South Africa, I mean, the former rulers under what they call apartheid and all like that. Talk to them. They're there, all right? And you say, hey, you go in with one question in any conversation you have with anybody, white or non-white, all right? What's going to be the constructive result? Anytime somebody suggests anything, this is how you control your emotions. Go for the logic. And the logic is all about what? Cause and effect. That's what logic is. Cause and effect throughout the entire universe. All right? What is the result of an action? That's an effect. What is the cause of the action that produces the result? And the only thing you need to remember, is it constructive? Every move that people make is going to have a constructive result or a non-constructive result.
Okay. Let me ask you this, Mr. Fuller. With that being said, especially in regards to South Africa, when they, whoever they are, allowed, he did get out of jail, Nelson Mandela, to get out of prison that he was in, that particular concrete brick and mortar prison, and then he became president of South Africa. I don't know if it's some agreement with the ANC, which was with African National Congress or whatever. The supremacists or the people who were on apartheid, they still controlled the money, the nuclear button. They were still in all the power positions. So what was that?
So the question is, was it constructive for Mr. Nelson Mandela to be let out of prison? Yes, he never should have been there in the first place.
Right.
That's the answer to that question. Now, having said that, now that he was president or had the title of president.
Yeah, title.
All of the things that happened after that, were they constructive or non-constructive? And there's no such thing as in between. And that's all the gentleman who is making this call now. If he says he wants to control his emotions so he doesn't have anger and doubt and whatever it is.
Correct.
I mean, you control your emotions by focusing on essentials. And the essentials always comes down to one of two things, constructive, non-constructive. And rather than make statements, that helps you to control your emotions. Don't make statements. Ask questions, endless questions. And the first question you should ask of anybody, particularly when you're talking to white people in South Africa, sir, ma'am, this thing that we are fixing to do, is it constructive or non-constructive? And if so, how? Because it's got to do two things. It's got to meet two qualifications. It's got to be no one is mistreated, because we're talking about justice now.
Okay.
Justice has a compensatory definition that I gave it.
Yes, sir.
No one is supposed to be mistreated. I don't care what you're going to do. But you better be able to answer that question before you make any move on this project that we're talking about. Is anyone going to be mistreated? And is everyone going to get the constructive help that they need? Otherwise, put everything on hold until you can answer that question in the affirmative. That's the way everything should work, every inch of this planet, 24/7.
All right.
This minute. Not only in South Africa, all over the world.
Okay.
That should be the question asked.
All right, now.
All right. Anything that anybody comes up with, people come up with proposals all day long. And you can sit there and you can nod. I don't care how many hours it takes for them to make their proposal. But when they finish, that should be the question.
Okay.
Go right to that question. Now, this thing that we're fixing to do, is it going to guarantee that nobody's mistreated? And is it going to guarantee that everybody who needs the most constructive help gets it? Otherwise, this plan needs to be gone all over again.
Okay.
Until you can come up with those guarantees. Otherwise, you don't have justice.
All right.
You've got to have justice in any move you make.
According to the logic, compensatory logic of what did happen, not only according to compensatory logic, but according to what history has proven since Mr. Mandela was let out of prison and what has gone on since he's been out of prison and his subsequent death. What happened? Because with me, I don't really see any change, really, except that they got him out of prison, but the white supremacists were still in control. So what constructive result, was that? They just made him president, and that was about it, as far as I can see, unless I'm seeing it wrong. Can you help me?
I'm going to go back to it again. Nobody in South Africa right this minute is supposed to be mistreated.
Got
any
that.
kind of way.
Got that.
All right? And that not only in South Africa, no place in the world.
Correct.
See, in other words, the system of white supremacy is worldwide.
Okay.
So just what happens in South Africa, that's not just, a South African problem. That's a world problem. You can't straighten out the South African problem without straightening out the entire world.
Okay, I agree with that.
All right, well, this is what the code is about. All right? So the only criteria on your job, everybody who has a job now, the ones who are fortunate enough to have one, in any proposal made around any kind of conference table, doesn't have to be the United Nations. What is the United Nations? That's just people sitting there talking, all right? So you sit there and talk right around any table where you are, where you work. If you're talking about getting some new forklifts down at the warehouse, and you work in the warehouse, so you come to the table and say, all right, sir, you in charge. Are you in charge? You always put in the form of a question. Who's in charge here? Who is the most powerful person here? All right? Let the most powerful person speak, okay? And the most powerful person hold up their hand and say, well, I'm Miss Glasgow, and I'm in charge. Okay, Miss Glasgow. Now, what proposal do you have for the new forklifts that we're going to get down on the docks today? Because that's the subject. Forklifts down on the docks. You work on the docks and you work with forklifts. That's how it always starts. You solve the problem of the individual person throughout the planet, and you're solving the problem of all people throughout the planet. That's the compensatory logic, all right? That's mathematics.
Yes, sir.
Okay? So you just start from where you are. That's all it is, not the people down the road and all like that, because you're not down the road. You start from where you are, and you say, okay, now, when we do this, Miss Glasgow, when we get these new forklifts, is anybody in the transfer of these new forklifts, is anybody going to be mistreated? And is everybody associated with this facility going to get the constructive help that they need? Now, Miss Glasgow says, oh, well, when we get the new forklifts in, we got 30 people that work on forklifts. We're going to have to let 20 of them go. Oh, hold it right there. Go where? All right? Yeah, you can let them go, but go where? See, because when people leave one place, that's a law of compensation. When you move something from one place, that something that you're moving is going someplace else. Now, it's okay to say we're going to let them go, but go where? And doing what that's going to be of constructive value? Now, that's the question.
Mm-hmm.
No, just don't, that's the old trick on the white supremacy. Well, you slaves can go. What do you mean, go? Go where? Well, you can go off my plantation. Well, wait a minute. We're leaving your plantation, but we're going where? It's not where we are leaving. It's where we are going. And what's going to be the constructive result of us arriving where we are going? See, now that even applies right now.
Right now,
to this
yes.
thing about immigration.
Yes, sir.
Hey, it ain't where you're leaving. It's where you're going. And what is going to be the condition when you arrive where you're going? And you're supposed to be guaranteeing that what? No one is mistreated, and everybody who needs constructive help gets it.
Okay.
Otherwise, we need to go back to the blueprint.
Okay. All righty. Enough said on that. Well, thank you again, Mr. Fuller. Thank you, callers and listeners. TalkTameItRadio.com. Radio the way it should be heard. Thank you, Mr. Fuller, and we'll see you next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTameItRadio.com. the world's greatest radio.
The most important question in all racial matters is why. One should always ask it.
Radio, the way it should be heard.
You've got the power. The world's greatest radio. TalkTainmentRadio.com.